The nigga that you cuffin', I'm the nigga that you don't ever try to play us. Niggas itchy, it gets sticky when you play tough. Niggas always talk about how my back and never say nothing.
Cause this is about the time. So we've been running this family tree, and Bus is around. No. You sit right here. Bus gonna sit right there. And then he gonna break there and how you come through. Yeah. Right? You right.
What year was the show?
Sophia Chang.
So in 1990, there was a club called The Building. It was an underground hip-hop club. It was a former Con Ed power station. And they had fantastic hip-hop shows there. And I remember one of the most electrifying shows. You remember this, Chris? You were there. They had this railing that was up, probably where the technicians used to walk back and forth. And that's where the artists used to perform. And I remember seeing this group called Leaders of the New School. PTA. And who jumped out was Busta. And I remember you guys were hanging off that railing. Remember that? It was crazy. And from that day, I have respected and loved you so much. And thank you so much for everything that you've done for hip hop.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but there's a lot of people been in Chris's life, and it just feels like that was the, Bus is the natural progression from y'all. So tell your story, Chris, and all that, and then it's definitely gonna lead into Busta Rhymes.
Okay, so I met Q-Tip and Ali in high school, but I didn't go to that high school. So I have a mutual friend, Rob Duncan, who went to high school with Q-Tip and Ali. So at this point in time, the Jungle Brothers also went to high school with them. So the Jungle Brothers, they had a record on the radio, and everyone in New York City, coming up to this high school, they want to battle. They're coming up to the school, they want to battle. That's it. We hear these guys in here, they rapping, they on the radio, I want to battle. So my mutual friend, Rob Duncan, he would say, yo boy, you gotta come up to the school with that thing. Because these guys is coming over here, and my man John, which is Q-Tip, come on, my man John's gonna battle, and we don't want nothing to happen, so you gotta come up here and make sure you have that thing on. So I go up to the school, I'm hanging outside the school, right, Mary Bertram, and the guys are coming out of there. I'm from Brooklyn, so that's we have a mutual friend that's also from Brooklyn. So guys are coming out, and I'm outside the school, and one guy is out there, and he's like, yo, I want to battle. Yo, word, my name is A-Son, and I want to battle. I don't want no beef, I just want to battle. So all dirty bastards outside of high school, but he was A-Son. So he's pacing the pavement, so he wants to battle. So my guys come out. It's Q-Tip and it's my guy Rob Duncan. So they come out. So yo, what's up, boy? Hey, you got that? Yeah. Guys over here, the guy right there wants to battle, right? So he's like, oh, we thought there was a lot more people. So A-Son, he had a few people with him, but they outside, this is a big stairwell. So I said, hey, yo, let's just take it up the block. Let's go in the park. You guys gonna rap battle or whatever. Come on. So I'm older than them. So we go up to the park. So I would get in the park and I'd say, hey, look, it don't have to be hostile. Shoot your rap, shoot your shit. Let's hear your raps. So I think by saying that, I took the edge off a little bit. So they kind of, everybody said their raps and it was cool. So from that point, it was like, yo, you really managed the situation well. So I like to say I manage personalities. So fast forward, they introduced me to Chris and the Violators, and I was on the Brooklyn side in those clubs, all right? And we wasn't only drinking Cisco, we were drinking all right? So I was over there with them, and we're in the office, so, I was so excited, just like you, Dres, like, man, I'm in the office, we really working this hip-hop? Because, I'm just here, the cassettes, I know, what's the cassette they bring up to my school? Showbiz and AG. You know, they were outside the high school selling these cassettes, right? So fast forward, we're in the office, so me and Chris, you know, we strategize. That's the thing. You know, we get in there, we strategize about Mr. Cartagena, about you, about him, all the guys, you know, we strategize. So he has this way that I've been mastering it. You know, he has a way, like, he don't like what you're saying, Chris, and he has this Chesterfield cat look about him. When he squints, you can see the smoke coming off of him. And you think he's gonna say something real crazy, but he says something so professional. So he's in there, he's squinting. He said, look, Lighty, you're in the office, you gotta man these phones, and I'm going to Puff Daddy's office. So him and Puff Daddy, they would kind of trade records. And it's not a rival, but it's a friendly thing. They trade records, producers, rappers, records, songs, half a songs, whatever. So he's going to Puff Daddy's office, and they were doing all right. They had Mace, you know, but the Violator Camp, Def Jam, Rush, it was established. So we're established, but Puff Daddy's coming up. He's got a few guys out there like Mace and you know, his Puff Daddy team, but Biggie wasn't really out. Biggie had about 4 songs. Craig Mack was the guy, right? And they had some songs out there, but Biggie Smalls was coming up, and I was like, yo, you gotta watch this kid. So he said, yeah, I'm going on now, man. You just make sure you call your man Q-Tip. As he said, call your man, that's Q-Tip. Call your man Q-Tip and make sure he's doing that, what he's supposed to do, whatever. So he goes to Puff Daddy's studio and he comes back. So he's got that look, that Chesterfield catch. The smoke coming off. You know what I'm talking about, Busta. He started looking at you. I said, what happened? What happened down there? He says, we got to get to work. He said, now let me bring it back. So Chris Lighty's a KRS-One fan. He's from the Bronx, KRS-One. I'm Slick Rick, you know, that's my guy, I love him. I'm a Slick Rick fan. Chris Lighty, he once told me, yo, we be robbing people and fighting. Everybody in the Bronx they named themselves Chris. I said, so your name ain't really Chris? No. So, all right, he comes back. Hold on. He comes back to the office from Puff Daddy's office, and he's like, got that look. I said, what's the matter? He said, yo, we gotta get ready. They're not playing down there. I said, we're not playing either. He said, yo, call your man. Get him on the phone now. You see the smoke? I said, what's the big idea, bro? It's not that serious. Come on, it's Puff Daddy's got, I don't know those guys is ill, but yo, come on, it's not that serious. He said, they got a record. I said, what's the record? He said, he's even more mad because he likes KRS-One. I like Slick Rick, so he goes to me, Biggie, 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 can't you see? Somehow your words is hypnotizing me. Call your man. I mean, I think it's Busta's though. I don't want to take too much from it, you know. But, you know, he was an exceptional dude. I always used to be like, wait a minute, how old are you? You know, because I'm older than him. But it feels like he's a lot older than me. Yeah, I'm old. I'm 53. I think, how old will he be, Deja, right now?
What would he be right now?
Yeah, right now. 51. So when we're younger, right, when we're younger, that 51 and that age bracket is a big deal, those 3 years, especially in the street when you're carrying a tray pound 7. You know, but all right, y'all can delete that.
Statute of limitation, you good.
A-Son.
Can you just tell us exactly who A-Son was that was that?
A-Son, it became Old Dirty Bastard.
Brooklyn Zoo.
He was up at the school, he won the battle, he didn't care who's coming out. He wanted to just battle.
Everybody.
But I miss him, man, and he really taught me a lot. Where I had to keep being like, how old are you again? you know, every time, he was really book smart, like you guys said, and face, and how to diligently research the business. You know, that's the thing. And, you know, I miss him, and I'm glad to be here amongst you guys. And like y'all said, oh, he's the road manager. That was me. Oh, he's just the road manager. Oh, these guys on the stage, they're on stage, like, get off the stage. So.
No, you have to understand the road manager is the glue. Absolutely the glue, all right?
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna go with Bus.
These tributes to Chris is weird to me because and I don't want to forgive me if I say anything that's a little uncomfortable, but for me, I still haven't really come to terms with it, you know. So, I'm gonna say this. I always dreamed to be a rich man. And I always dreamed to be able to tell my father, I'm rich. And I ain't have to get rich doing it the way he was forcing me to do it. Because when I was young, and most of the time when we're young, we don't value the best interest that our elders are in, even when it seemed like they ain't supporting what we're doing. But as I got older, I got to really appreciate what my father was doing, even when he was saying that rap shit is a waste of time. And I don't want to waste time with you with that shit. But he knew one way. And it worked for him. And as a father, you want to secure the way that works for you, for your children. And I wasn't really able to figure out how to accomplish that and be able to say, I told you my way works, until I got with Chris. You know what I'm saying? So, it's always funny to me when I go from being managed by Rush Management and coming to the Rush Management offices on Elizabeth Street. And Chris was just a management rep. And he had Dayline, Tribe, Leaders, Big Brand Nubian, Black Sheep, Chiali. And then to see Rush go away. And, excuse me if that's my phone, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my phone. And when Rush goes away, and Chris says, yo, there was a meeting in the office today, and they said that we dismantling Rush, so everybody could take their pick of the litter. And Chris said, I'm gonna take y'all. I'm gonna take Dayline, I'm gonna take Tribe, I'm gonna take Black Sheep, I'm gonna take Leaders, and we're gonna start Violator. And then Violator starts, right? And then I never wanted to be a solo artist. I was scared of that. So that's why I was always a part of cliques, those Leaders of the new school. And then when I was having my differences with Leaders, I always ran to the Tribe sessions. That's why I was on so many Tribe records. You know, I always came to the Tribe sessions. When Q-Tip said I couldn't come, I'd go to Fife Crib and be like, I'm coming with you. Fuck what Q-Tip said. And I would always wiggle my way into the Tribe sessions. And as the youngest of the leaders of the new school, I was the first one to have a child. So I had to figure out how I was going to provide. So I had to find my way on records so that I could send an invoice by calling Chris. Once I knew, when I found my way in these sessions, I was able to wiggle my way into a verse, swindle my way onto somebody else's song that they didn't foresee happening before the moment I might have walked through that door. Can you please send this invoice for this amount tomorrow, Chris? And he would do it. And I saw that $5 grand, $6 grand, 10 grand, 4 times a week was a lot of money at my age, still living with my mother, not having no overhead. But I did have this little baby that I was responsible for, and this mother for my child that I was responsible for. But I'm saying all of this to say that at that point, I started to figure out through Chris and Mona, and more so Chris before Mona came, because I didn't call Mona when I was doing the verses on other people's songs or when I was finding or swindling my way into people's sessions. But it started with the practice that I was getting with Tribe because of the way I was finagling and getting there with even after Tip would say I couldn't come. So I would take that and I would apply it. And I'm saying all of this to say that I really started to figure out how to hustle and get to this money through Chris. Because Chris would always say, you eat what you kill, nigga. If you don't kill shit, you're gonna starve. So I used to call studios because I took that saying and applied it to every single day of a 30-year legacy that I'm celebrating this year. And all the features that I ended up on, and all of the collabs that I ended up having, you know, I ran towards whoever was considered the top 5 MCs. So I ended up with collabs with Eminem and Jay and Nas and Biggie and whoever they said was the top 5, because, you know, I always hated to not be in those conversations. And I wanted to force motherfuckers to rethink that. And the only way that you're gonna rethink that is if I create the moment where I'm on these records with them. And you had to reevaluate who was the weakest link in those moments. And as a violator, I knew that that was not something that was even a possible option, because you would never not hear the last of it. So I used to call studios to find out who was in there. Them times it was pre all of this new breed of weed. It was just skunk tie, indica, cess, seeds in your weed popping as you roll your Phillies or you would roll your White Owls. And I would get the White Owls in particularly because they burned the slowest. And I would go to Gates between Marcy and Nostrand and get me 520 bags of weed and chocolate, $100. I went to the studio sessions. I was working in all of them anyway, so I was cool with all of the assistants and all of the receptionists that worked at the front desk. And I would ask them who was in these studios, and they would tell me. So I would just pop up, and I would go in these sessions, and I would always act like I was in there the night before and I left something, so I would walk into these rooms with my White Owl blunt rolled up and lit, and I knew that this was the way to not get kicked out the room. Because once you pass the weed, you gotta stay.
You gotta stay.
I want to battle you on verses. So you know, during those moments while they would smoke, I would write. And I would grunt and do my little sounds in the corner, and when they would want to hear what I was coming up with, you know, at this time I'm screaming off a scenario, so everybody was happy to see the Dungeon Dragon pull up, and they would always want to hear if I had another one of those moments to put on a record, and I would be like, just let me go in the booth, and I would go in the booth and do it, and all I had to do was rah on the record. A lot of times you get fucked what I was saying before, but I was going hard with the bars, and I always was able to leave those moments with getting some money the next day through calling Chris and saying, I did this verse, this is what I think I would want, what you think we should charge, what you think I could get, and he made sure that I got this money. And it evolved into
leaders breaking up, and me being scared to go solo, and me crying to Chris and saying I don't know if I want to do it. So leaders go and have a meeting without me, and Dante, fresh after us breaking up on the on-TV raps with Fab Five Freddy, he ain't want to support no more leaders projects because we wasn't cool enough to promote the shit. So he was like, why invest in this shit if y'all ain't even getting along enough to try to make the bread back? So I get the call, solo opportunity comes, and I'm shooting Higher Learning, and I'm crying on the phone to Chris, I don't think I could do it. So this is the first time I'm getting a deal for some decent money, way more than leaders, fresh off the flavor, the scenario and scenario remix buzz, I'm steaming, and a couple of movies, and Q-Tip comes to the rescue. So Q-Tip comes to LA, and at the time, you know, it ain't nothing but platinum tribe shit on the wall constantly, and he comes to the studio in a white CE 300 Benz coupe two-door with a tan convertible top. And I just was looking at this motherfucker like, how did you do that? And we in the studio, and I'm trying to come up with shit. He puts up a beat, I can't come up with nothing. I'm crying in the studio. So he's like, he's saying to me, just say whatever comes to mind, and don't worry about it. I'll just record whatever, and we'll figure it out later. So 3 years after the leaders break up, first Busta Rhymes solo album comes out. So now that album goes platinum, The Coming goes platinum in 2 months, Woo-Ha goes platinum in 6 weeks, and my life changes. Now I'm being introduced to a new tax bracket, and I'm pulling up on my father now, having a different conversation. And he was happy for me, but he wasn't happy that he couldn't hit me with the I told you so talk anymore. So my whole life has been a progression and an evolution of being able to be the guy that was looked at as the first millionaire in my family. And there was no greater feeling than that. Mona comes on board, I'm doing the biggest endorsement deal. I think Mona pioneered the endorsement deal with me. We did this unbelievable multi-million-dollar deal with Mountain Dew, and Mona negotiated all of my movie shit, Shaft, Finding Forrester, Higher Learning. Mona did all of that. So the beauty of what I'm saying about pointing all of this out is that to this day, since Violator dismantled, I have not had the same support system. And it's been extremely challenging. I'm gonna always figure it out, because failure ain't an option. I'm a Taurus. I used to be a stubborn Taurus, but now I'm a determined Taurus. There's a difference between the two.
Difference, yeah.
One was an irrational motherfucker, especially when I was on my Violator high horse, endless bags of money, and I was holding my own Johnson with pride. And you get older, you bump your head a few times, you realize that shit hurt, that lump's swelling too big. You gotta start figuring out how to get around that wall, over that wall, or under the motherfucker, because you obviously ain't getting through it. So that's where you start changing up the stubborn shit, but you don't compromise the determination to still get around that wall. So, Violator as a Voltron, to me, and in my experience, is the most unfuckwittable team in existence. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not, and salute to all of the other incredible teams of support systems that exist now.
I never was meaning to try to be the man. Bitch, don't ask me about some shit that's on my Instagram. And I be delivering the pack, I'm giving instant want a deal, no chance in hell. I feel like Vince McMahon, something that you can't understand. I could just kill a man. I like to wake up to some head while I'm still young. In the ghetto when the fiends making noise in the still morning. She give me pussy.